Hi guys, it's Khristina from Redefine Creative, and when we were talking between all of us that are doing the video a day in July, we thought it would be really fun to do some throwback videos on Thursdays. And so today, one of our throwback videos is to show our first album. And this is not at all my first album, but we have just moved into a new house, and so this is the oldest album that I have that I know exactly where it was. So this is, as you can see, one of those old Pioneer postbound albums that I have extended a few times. And then it also has that embossing on the front to have the name of the album. So this is a trip to Costa Rica. And this is a trip that I took when I was in high school. And I scrapbooked this when I was in college. So it's still a very old album. The style in here is not anywhere close to what my style is today. So no laughing, no making fun, but let's take a look at what I did to document this trip. So this is one of the few albums I have that is actually finished. Okay, so as we did back in those times when I was working, I was actually working in a scrapbook store. We always had this kind of crazy title page. So I have my flag, my map, and then the dates that I was gone. And this is just vellum, and then of course the wire. Do you guys remember the wire, where we did the wire and the twisting on the tools and all that? Okay, so then the first spread in here is just our itinerary. So this is something, I was on a school trip, so we had like a scheduled out plan for each day that we were going to be there. And so that's kind of where this came from, just so that I would have that documented later. And then over here I have just my tickets. There is a page that goes here, but it's something that my kids were using for a project, so it just needs to be slipped back in there. So I made this little ticket folder kind of to mimic the airline folder, and then I have my tickets and ticket stubs and everything in there. And then it does have just a little string that closes it. Very cool. I actually still really like that. So this one it's called Los Colones, which is the money in Costa Rica. And so this just kind of talks about the money and has one of those little ephemera pockets. Did you guys used to use those? That has the coins in it. And then just a waterfall. Oh, I do not miss these really bright papers with the borders. And this one is 8.5 by 11. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but it is an 8.5 by 11. That is the only size that I did. Before I had kids, everything was 8.5 by 11. Once I had kids, then I switched over to 12 by 12. So this was just one of our hotels. Really, I was into hand lettering. I don't know, doing the whole, like, Becky Higgins had a bunch of tutorials and stuff out at that time, like doing your own lettering, all that kind of thing. And of course the die cuts. Oh my goodness, the die cuts. And the little punches. And then I have the brochure and just kind of talk about the hotel. This one, we went to Botanical Gardens in San Jose, so that's what this one is about. More of that beads and wires and vellum. And then same thing. For some reason, I guess I really liked these pattern papers that had the big fancy borders on them. And here we go with Skywalk. So this was something that we did, like a series of big bridges that went up through the cloud forest. Same thing as today, kind of. I'm still really big into ephemera. So I have, you know, our ticket, I have brochures. I did think enough to collect all of that stuff. Even in high school, I collected all of that stuff. All right, next one was the beach. And so again, I created some of my own letters. I've got some charms down here. That big brochure, isn't that beautiful? How that just becomes like a central part of the layout instead of in a pocket or anything. And then just a postcard. Perfect. Okay, oh my goodness, some of these things. More stencils and lettering. I was apparently very big on that. And then this is just the lava mountain. We did a big hike up there. Obviously, you can see I was really into wire and beads during this time. It's funny how you can look back at your albums and say, oh, this is like what was on trend. This was what I was really into. More from the lava mountain, pictures of our group, pictures of all of us. Some paper tearing. Remember when this was a big deal? Creating these paper torn little borders through pages. Kind of a good trip down memory lane, I suppose. Waterfall pictures, that kind of thing. Nothing too fancy. More of that paper tearing. Some hand stitching. Look at that. Even as a college kid, I was hand stitching on my layouts. That's really funny, actually. Same thing, kind of coordinating my title with my pattern paper colors. Nothing too fancy there. I think this was actually a scrap lift probably from Becky Higgins. Whitewater rafting. Look at those fancy theme stickers. Holy moly, those are great. This is kind of cool because I just kind of recreated this experience whitewater rafting for my kids this past week. So, very cool. Pictures are kind of dark, of course, but whitewater rafting, cliff jumping, more of that fancy title work. Lots more tearing, inking some edges. Those beautiful theme stickers. Pool with a view, more title work. Seems like during this time I was really into all this title stuff. Do you guys remember this? Did you ever do this where you kind of cut a little border out of your photo and inlaid it like this? That was something in our store that was a big deal. People were really doing that a lot. More of this stitching and tearing and fancy letters. Oh, so good. Now I have a pocket at least. So I have some of that metallic showing up. Some of that old, like, raffia type things. And then I have the program from our night at this presentation and then the brochure in there. This one is just a pocket for a big, like, it's a big booklet from Costa Rica, something you pick up, you know, when you're a tourist. And lots of brads. Do you guys still have brads? I still have brads. I have tons of brads. I don't use them, but I do have them. And back here, this page is actually, my kids recently flipped through this and they thought this was the coolest page in the entire album, which I don't know what that says about my trip, but so I went online and I just put a bunch of legends that went with Costa Rica and the place that we were, a bunch of stories and things. And truly, my kids got the biggest kick out of some of these stories. So this is something that I have gotten away from and I don't really include in our travel books, but it kind of made me rethink that idea. Like, maybe I do need to include some of this kind of stuff because this is something my kids really got a kick out of. And then just some more brochures and that kind of thing here in the back. And that's it. So that is one of my very first early albums. I would love to see yours if you leave me a comment down below or link me either over on Facebook or Instagram. I would love to take a look at one of your older albums as well. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another video in July. Bye, guys.